Finding altcoins like Sui, Virtuals, and Grass before they start to pump towards the upside and massively outperform the wider crypto market isn't about luck, but it's by understanding that all of these altcoins are pumping for certain reasons. And if we can understand that, then we can use some of the tools that I'm going to teach you in this video to identify the next altcoins that are going to see some major upside. Despite the fact that altcoins are sitting there quietly right now, things are about to get incredibly exciting across crypto. And if you can position yourself in the right coins right now, then you stand to make some serious gains throughout this bull market ahead. So without further ado, hit the like button. Let's go find some altcoin gems. Now, before we dive in and find out some of the best altcoins out there that are yet to see some significant gains, let's have a quick look into the wider crypto market because things are looking a little bit quiet. And I know people out there are getting a little bit worried because I've not been around for the last few days to tell you that everything's okay, but it is, guys. This is the Bitcoin chart, and as you can see, we're at the same point. Okay, we're on the weekly chart. It continues to follow the global M2 money supply, which despite the fact we pushed up to 97 and now we're at around 94, we're still on track. Okay, this continues at least over the next few months until July the 28th, where you'll be thinking, well, what happens after that? And the answer is we don't know yet, but actually we do know. Right now, the US has run out of people to buy its debt. Okay, China used to buy lots of their debt. The UK and the EU and Japan all used to buy lots of debt from the US. But guess what? They don't want to do it anymore. So the US is now starting to run out of options. That means that they're going to have to print money like absolutely crazy. That's why the dollar is threatening to fall off the face of a cliff right now. And that means that M2 is just going to continue to pump like crazy. For however long, I don't know, but it does mean that Bitcoin will continue to raise higher. But I know you're in the altcoins are pretty quiet right now. So why is that? Well, if we jump across to Twitter and have a look at Christie Web3, this post here, you're going to see exactly what's going on. This shows all the views that all the YouTubers in crypto are getting. And unfortunately, we don't get as many views during times in the market like this because retail investors are just not here. And guess what? Most retail investors do it wrong. So right now, if you're watching this video, congratulations, because you are in the percentage of people who will probably make it in this bull market. Most of the people who aren't watching will find things harder because they come back once the market's already pumped up, which is why right now we want to find our entries, and is also why you need to be hitting the like button so that I can get more views and feel less sad about the fact that we are in this quiet period of time where I get less views than normal. But don't worry, as Bitcoin continues to creep on up, soon it's going to arrive at around 100k, whether we have a little bit of a pullback or not in the meantime, down towards 90k really is irrelevant, okay? Bitcoin hits 100k, everybody comes back in, markets start to pump up once more. It happens every time. We go from quiet markets into busy markets. It's easy. So yeah, you get the picture. Markets have been quiet. But if we jump across to Banter Bubbles, we can see that certain altcoins out there have been having a pretty good old time over the last month or so. Virtuals having a good pump, Hype having a good run, Fartcoin, you know, Pengu, and a handful of others in the mix. But you'll notice looking at this, some other projects out there have actually been going down during a period of time where others have been going up. So what gives? What's the difference between some of these altcoins versus others? Well, I shared this tweet on my Twitter page earlier on, and if you're not already following Peter_THOC, make sure you go and give me a follow over there so that you can keep up to date with all of the information that I'm posting over there. Now, this is a reposted tweet, but it's from Frontrunners, and it talks about something more important than most people really give credit for. It talks about revenue and fee generation in projects versus the actual market cap of the project. Now, you can see this is basically the top 50 or so projects, and these are more DeFi products. There are other projects that aren't on this list that also make massive revenues, okay, but this is DeFi products. Also, you can look through this list and think, oh, well, you know, Sui is kind of low down here and Ton and whatever, pretty low. Guys, these are the top 50 projects in all of crypto, pretty much, because outside of this, most coins are making no money whatsoever. Now, you might come to me and say, I don't really want to invest in meme coins. I really like utility tokens. But guess what? Utility tokens fall into one of any three categories. And what are these three categories that I've just completely plucked out of thin air today? Well, the first one is vaporware. It means it's basically a meme coin with a utility badge attached. And this is where the majority of utility coins sit, because ultimately they're not doing anything useful. They don't have any revenue generation, and into the future it's very difficult to work out how they intend to generate any revenue. This makes them effectively a meme coin with a nice story behind them. Next up, you have the ones with potential. So right now, they might not necessarily be doing anything in terms of building revenue, but they're building exciting products that in the future might go and deliver something useful. This is where a lot of people get stuck between vaporware and potential, because a lot of projects that are in the vaporware area, in my opinion, people think have good potential. Okay, because probably of big name partnerships and whatever else, this trips a lot of people up. And then the final one, and probably the most important one, and this is why Virtuals and Sui and a handful of others have been pumping recently, is revenue generating. They've already achieved their potential. They're already starting to prove that the potential is real. And this is a very easy one to get involved in, because it means that if you buy into these projects, you really don't have such downside risks, because over time, yes, they go up and down in terms of value, but they will never die because they have the money to keep going. And as well as that, they can start to inject lots of money into pumping their coins back up once the market becomes greedy again. This is why if you identify coins right now that are generating good revenue, or at least have the potential to be generating good revenue very soon, that you can find some winners that are going to see some significant gains as this bull market starts to get greedy again. Right now, you want to get in because it's not that greedy. Okay, so going through this list, just as an example, at the top, you've got like PancakeSwap, okay? As an example, it has an FDV, fully diluted valuation, of $673 million. But in terms of fees, it generates $73 million every 30 days, which means that in a year, it generates $881 million, making its annualized fees actually bigger than its FDV. This is a pretty extreme example. And yeah, you might know some of these and you might rush to go and buy PancakeSwap or whatever. The first one that kind of catches my eye, and this is what I would say if you're looking at small market cap coins right now, is Beats, which I actually hadn't heard of until literally today looking into this. And if we can look at Beats, we can see circulating market cap is 6.5 mil, but we can see the fees are already at $788,000 every month. Okay, so in a year, it basically achieves its circulating market cap. This is enormous. Okay, this is a very exciting thing. Come down through the list and you can see other bits and pieces going on. So how do we identify products that are actually doing something useful, generating money? Now, put it simply, we can go very black and white on this. Is it making money versus is it not making money? Okay, the potential part takes a little bit of an understanding from you in the middle, and that's where, as I said, people get tripped up. Now, the first tool, and I've showed you this time and time again, but we're going to use this just to look at Beats, because obviously we don't want to rely just on this spreadsheet that's been created by someone else. We want to start looking and thinking for ourselves, right? Because if we think for ourselves, we're not going to get tripped up and blame other people and influencers and whatever. We're going to be able to do the research for ourselves, have conviction in what we buy, and understand why we're holding those coins. And if you want to continue upgrading your knowledge of crypto and how to actually research products for yourself so that you don't have to rely on anyone else, make sure you subscribe to the House of Crypto, okay? Notification bell turned on. In every one of my videos, I will teach you processes. I will teach you information about how to identify altcoins before they go and pump. Okay, like Virtuals Protocol's been pumping, like Sui's been pumping. If you were already subscribed, good chances that you saw my Sui video the other day when it was like $1.7, and now you would be up at least a 2.5x in just a couple of weeks. Also, if you caught my video over on the School of Crypto, my other kind of more trading orientated channel, then you would have caught the Virtuals Protocol move. So yeah, subscribe. Now, how did we come across different ecosystems? Remember, we need to go to things that we already know and kind of work our way back. Sui is a layer 1 blockchain. I've been banging on about this for a long time now, but it's been such an obvious win for me because of this. Now, lots of people who will be here saying, oh, well, Sui is far down this list in terms of its kind of revenue generation versus its market cap. And yes, it's kind of on the lower side. And this is where things get a little bit gray area. Okay, but if we jump across to Sui, you can simply see something here. Okay, over the past year or so, the TVL, or the total value locked, has just been starting to rally higher and higher. And that's partly because the projects being built on Sui are some of the top projects out there. So you can see the stablecoin market caps are pumping towards the upside. You can see down through here who is really generating fees on Sui. So you might not necessarily want to bet on Sui because it's a larger market cap. Maybe you can go after some of the coins on Sui, like Cetus, that's been generating massive fees in the last 24 hours, but maybe still has a relatively small market cap. Okay, it's just a very easy way to use this tool. Now you can see, obviously, this continues to rise, this continues to rise. It means Sui is going to have a fairly bright future. And then you can start to stack on all the other things, okay? The stuff that gives it potential, like the fact that they're now going to have ETFs built by Jack Mallers' 21 shares, like the fact that they've introduced a hardware gaming device that's going to start to bring in lots of new gamers. like the fact they have various other major partnerships, like the fact that the team came from Meta and Facebook and all the other things that go behind it. Okay, this is very much data-driven, not opinion-driven. Lots of the stuff that have people in projects comes from the potential side of things, and that's more opinion-driven than anything. The data really should be the thing that backs up all of your choices though. Now, another one that I've talked about recently that is going to lead us to something very interesting is Sonic. Now, simply, right now, if we know that Sui's been pumping like crazy, go through some of the other blockchains and look for the next project. All the time, people say to me, is it too late to buy this project? What's a good entry price for Sui? Because that's the one that everyone's looking at, because that's the one that's going up. Stop doing that, okay? Ask yourself not, is it too late to buy this, but what else can I buy? If you start to make that transition to what's the next Sui, then your life's going to get much easier. Now, I hold a lot of Sui. It's my biggest bag. I do see good upside from here because it's kind of lower risk from here. But ultimately, I do think if you can get bigger multiples potentially from some other coins here, because Sui's already gone up significantly in the last week or two. Now, Sonic is another one, an interesting one. Why am I interested in Sonic? Because, yeah, it's a really fast blockchain. No, because, look, the TVL is going bonkers. 2025, it started, and it's now already up here at $1.5 billion. Stablecoin market has been picking up from 500 mil. It's added $100 million of volume in a single day per 7 days. Okay, so that's a very aggressive growth rate. And coming down below, what can you see here? Fees paid, and you go through these exchanges. You've got Shadow Exchange. What's the second one you come across? It's Beats. Interesting, right? Where did we see Beats earlier? Well, Beats was up here, the second most profitable project for its size in crypto. Bonkers, right? So that's a very simple way to find projects like that. Hopefully you've understood a little bit more now about what we're looking for. This is a very simple way to identify coins that are doing something useful. You wouldn't invest in a cake shop that cost $4 billion and made $30 a day. Okay, you just wouldn't do it. Think about these like real businesses. They are really supposed to be achieving something, making money. And let me give you another example of this. I know a lot of people are really keen on the internet computer. Now, this doesn't feature over on DeFi Llama for whatever reason, but you can find more information about it on Token Terminal. You can go and look into some of the statistics over on Token Terminal. Okay, so you can come down below and you can see some of the growth that's been happening here. Look, market cap, fully diluted. Beats is going up. Why is Beats going up? It's going up because it's making money. Very, very straightforward. Go and use these tools together and it gives you much more insight. Now, if we want to jump across, I'm just going to give you another example. Internet computer. You can go across and you can look for projects on the internet computer. Internet computer is also a blockchain. People love to tell me how much of a big deal internet computer is. It's going to be the biggest thing ever, but the price doesn't reflect that. So I've got to then go and understand, well, what about the projects that are building on the internet computer? Should I be that focused into them right now? The DEXs are a very good indication of kind of the health of the particular network. And there are kind of DEXs and things floating around on ICP. And ICP is showing lots of increase in volume. But if I was to say, well, I'm really interested in ICP, can I find a DEX on ICP that's going to do well? Maybe I just come across here. You need to be able to check some of the data and information. So we're going to go to ecosystem projects, click on view. Coming down below, you can see all of these different projects and things like this. Go through until we find a DEX. Look, Sonic DEX, $10 million plus in trade volume. That sounds kind of appealing because $10 million is kind of a lot of money. But here's the thing, $10 million in terms of trading volume. Okay, but if we look at this, click on try it. Go and have a look at the website. Let's go and find out more about this project. Okay. What can we see here? Documentation, analytics. Gotta love that, okay? Analytics of Sonic, a DEX over on ICP. I want to invest in a DEX. Choose one on ICP. What's the volume today? Nothing. The volume is absolutely nothing. Volume has been nothing for the last few weeks. Okay, I could have bought into this project because I had a really nice website and looked the part. But now I know that they're not trading at all. This is a useless product, okay, for whatever reason, nothing to do with ICP necessarily. Go and find a DEX on ICP that's getting big volumes. Then you might have a chance at finding a good investment. Okay, ICP or any blockchain out there, I see people going all the time, this blockchain's better than that. I don't care what you think is better than that because you're doing it on the potential. Do it on the now. What have they got? Show me what they've got right now, and then I'll tell you the difference between actual and potential. Okay, if you can have a little bit of a gray area between those two, absolutely fine. Okay, obviously you can see growth happening here, growth in transactions. Go and look at some of the data around this and it could be very exciting. We will look at ICP in the future. I just wanted to give you that DEX as an example of a good DEX versus a bad one. Now, I don't hold any Beats, I don't hold any Sonic, I don't really hold anything apart from Sui that I've already talked about, okay? But ultimately, this is kind of what you want to be doing. This is how you want to be jumping through the loops. Now, what else can we do? Well, we could go back and keep looking at like banter bubbles and see some of the other top performers here and try and work out what's been going on. Hype. Okay, Hyperliquid. What is Hyperliquid? Well, it's an exchange. If you go to Hyperliquid, again, you can go through the website and you can go to none other than the stats. Look at the stats here. This is the open interest in crypto. This is trading volume. The trading volume right now on Hyperliquid is insane, and it's just started in the last like few months. Okay, it started back in December. Now look, the volume is now over $1 billion. Absolutely crazy. Okay, this is what's showing you what success looks like. If you can find projects that are slower, a little bit lower down here, then you might be able to catch them before their price goes up massively. Because look, this is Beats, by the way, the one we looked at just now, with lots of excitement and things increasing. But by looking at it on a chart, you can see that it's down here. Okay, many people will be like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want to be in a project like that. But guys, go and look at the data that supports this. This project's making crazy money. This might be a very good price to get in at. I don't know. I would like to maybe wait for it to turn around here and show us a bit of a green candle, which could give me a good indication to get in. Okay, right now I'm not saying to buy it, just saying keep your eye on it. All right. What else has been performing well? Virtuals. What is virtuals? We talked about this on the channel the other day, and we identified that AI agents were pumping and starting to become the hot narrative again. So what do we invest in? We invested in virtuals because it's like the pump fun of AI agents. If AI agents suddenly start to pump, what does everyone try and do? They start to go and build their own AI agents. That means that virtuals protocol wins whether those AI agents do well or not. Ideally, they do well, and then Virtuals does even better. But if we think about some of the top winners over the last few years, you would have to say Pump Fun was probably one of the biggest. Despite all of the rug pulls and all of the BS and all of the meme coin degeneracy where people lost money and made money and did all sorts of things, who won? Pump Fun. Okay, it's the easiest one without fail to be able to bet on the ecosystem products, because it doesn't matter whether one individual AI agent does well or not. This is another thing that goes into gaming. By betting on gaming ecosystems like Beam and Medicaid does really well for you. So hopefully this has helped you to understand things like DeFi products, okay, layer ones, whatever it might be. And I know I've only talked about a handful of projects here. There are other ones that have done really amazing things. Go and check them out. Hey, I see people all the time talking about this layer one or that layer one. I don't care. Okay, go and check it out for yourself. People say, oh, what do you think of Say? Say is an interesting one because the price has been going up. Do you know why the price has been going up? The price has been going up because the fees have been increasing for various different ecosystems like EA Finance and Sailor. This is DEX. I don't know anything about it. Go and see for yourself. Maybe this is one to pay attention to. But the TVL, pumping like crazy. $1 billion in TVL. But the market cap is less than $1 billion. This is a very good indication when this might be heading into the future, okay? Can't go too far wrong in this time in the market when no one is paying attention by betting on strong projects that are driving decent volume, etc. Because no matter if the market goes down or up, it doesn't matter. These coins will survive and eventually they'll pump. When the time comes right, they will pump. But if you're holding coins that don't really have any revenue generation, then guess what? When the market goes quiet, they tend to sell off pretty hard and aggressively, and they don't necessarily have the money to start pumping in marketing. They don't have the money to start doing buybacks, etc. That can be a bit of a problem. Now, outside of DeFi and whatever else, then you have to go down and start to look into particular niches and look at individual products. But guys, if you have an individual product in crypto that's doing well, guess what? You're going to talk about the elements that are doing well, and this is going to give you a lot more information. I don't care about partnerships and all these things. They sound really good on paper, but guys, if you don't have the data to support it, it doesn't matter. So focus towards other things. If we go to Aether, for example, you could see that the coin recently has been fairly flat. It hasn't really performed particularly well, but that doesn't matter too much in my eyes, because at some point the market is going to heat up and coins like this will pump like crazy. And here's why. If you go to the Aether dashboard, okay, you can see some very interesting things. Annual recurring revenue, $113 million. Total compute hours delivered, 717 million hours. Total rewards distributed, 4.6 billion rewards distributed in ETH tokens. This is a very, very interesting one because this is a project that's going to be around for the next few years. It's anticipated that the demand on AI compute power is going to do a 14x by 2030. So yeah, if you end up being a bag holder, I'd rather be a bag holder in a product like this than perhaps in like a meme coin that ends up going to zero or whatever. And that's just one example. In contrast between Aether and another coin that is incredibly popular, but I can't work out why, it's the difference. Aether generating this revenue, which is pretty amazing considering Aether's market cap's like 200 mil. this will eventually pump like crazy because the team at Aether will start to buy back tokens. When that happens, the market goes up. They'll invest in marketing, invest in partnerships, all sorts of other things, okay? The stuff that retail investors like the sound of. There's actually just the icing on the cake. But if we look at another project that I know everyone talks about all the time, Jasmy, okay, which sort of half claims to do similar things, you'll see that there isn't really much to go on because this project's been around since the last bull market, and yet you come across here and you can't necessarily work out exactly what they do, although they're saying that they're decentralized data. Okay, prove it to me. Show me where your decentralized data is coming from. I went down many rabbit holes. I read many reviews about why this is such a good project. It then just leads me along to another website called Junction, which is now like an AI process resources center, similar to what Aether's supposed to be doing. Okay, which is just another project. So it's kind of like they've had Jasmy around for years, but doesn't really do anything. They just name lots of project partnership, like our boss came from Sony and all these other things like that. These partnerships are great on paper, but they don't mean anything until you're actually proving yourself to be delivering. If you don't have active nodes, creating data and whatever else, it's completely useless. Jasmy is saying that they are a data center. They're providing decentralized data, but they don't have a decentralized data network. They don't have nodes. You, to be able to provide data to the network, need to run a node, but none of you are running nodes because you can't get them anywhere. This makes this basically a potential, at best, project, but mostly in kind of the vaporware arena. Now, what brings it away from the vaporware area might be towards this kind of move into Junction, which is kind of an add-on to running on the sort of Jasmy ecosystem, where they're going to start selling different stuff where you can run the nodes and all these other things. But if you go and try and run a node and buy a node, this is the dashboard you get to. Okay, and you can go and try and buy things for yourself. It doesn't work. Okay, so it doesn't work. This means that they're trying to do what Aether's doing, but haven't done it yet. Aether's worth 200 mil. Jasmy is worth 800 million, but Aether's actually making huge money, and this is making nothing. Okay, so you see the kind of contrast between projects that are actually delivering versus projects that say they're going to deliver at some point. And it doesn't necessarily have to show you its kind of revenue or anything else, but at least show some form of adoption. This is grass.io, data website. I can guarantee that this is going to be performing quite well. Why? Trusted by over 3 million users. 3 million people are actively using and running nodes for Grass. This is an interesting and a useful product. They're building huge data streams, which is worth huge amounts of money, and something that we're starting to integrate into our Perceptron project, and that's going to be a very exciting thing to look at. We'll start to talk about that more as we move towards launch in the next few weeks. Now, this comes down to you to sort of think about why things are useful. Okay? AI projects. You're building like some sort of really exciting AI. Imagine ChatGPT right now if nobody used it. How much would it be worth? Okay, you know that. It's worth a lot of money because everyone wants to use it. It's also worth a lot of money because not only does everyone want to use it, but the potential there is also huge. These kind of combined areas make things very exciting indeed. Now, if you go down through the list, you've got like real world assets. But how do I find a real world asset project that's doing well? What makes a real world asset project useful? Do you know? You shouldn't be investing in projects if you don't know these kind of answers. Okay? If you're invested in tons of projects and you don't really know what they do, you just bought them because someone talked about them on YouTube or Twitter, give yourself a slap, okay? Because you're not going to be able to sell at the right point. You're not going to be able to hold on if we take dips because you don't know why you're holding it. By understanding all of this, you're going to have conviction in what you're holding. You're going to be able to sleep at night when your coins are down. This is why I don't buy meme coins, because when they go down, I don't know if they're going to come back up. But if I'm buying into something with real-world utility, not real-world assets, but real-world utility, it allows me to kind of know that at some point, it's going to be much higher than it is right now. Ondo Finance, market cap $2.6 billion, but TVL, over $1 billion, and growing. Very positive, okay? This is a project showing actual data. It has all the partnerships as well, which sound really good, but this is what I want to see. But what about games and what about everything else? Well, think about it. What makes a successful game? A game is one that is being downloaded and used by lots of people, correct? You might not necessarily be able to access the revenue generation that they are achieving because they might not want to share that with you, okay? But if we think about games that have been successful in the past, not necessarily in crypto, like Candy Crush is probably the biggest earner of all time. Why? It has a massive amount of people being brought into the ecosystem. Then they start to implement things like advertising, which generates revenue, and then they start to bring in in-app purchases. So if you are a game developer and you have a game that's starting to bring in lots of users, chances are you're going to be able to build a lot of revenue. This is good if you're investing in coins that are generating revenue. So invest in games that have real world users. Here's an example of one that I hold, and I've told you about many times, and here's why I hold it. This is My Lovely Planet. Okay, it's a game very much like Candy Crush, but already has 25,000 monthly active users. And unlike Candy Crush, this is actually on the blockchain. This is pretty cool because not only is it like Candy Crush, but they also do things like planting trees, and you can earn rewards in blockchain tokens, and you can spend crypto tokens in the game. So when you're spending the MLC token in the game, guess what? It's going to impact the supply and demand of that. You can see they planted 370,000 trees, which makes it very easy for them to onboard new users. It's actually a very fun game to play. They have 1.2 million followers on social media, so they can start to bring people into their game to play more of the game. This is as easy as it gets. Okay, this is a game that lots of people use. If lots of people use and it turns into a Candy Crush of Web3 that has a revenue of like $7 billion a year, then you are going to make an absolute killing by holding a project like this. So when it comes to the game, play the game. Go and check out the game for yourself, see what it's like. Go to the App Store, go to the Google Play Store, go and read some of the reviews. You can see 147 ratings, lots of downloads. Okay, it's pretty good. And you can go and see what other people are saying about it and identify whether or not this is a good product that you want to be invested in. Start thinking about these like things you would actually buy because you think it's going to be actually providing value. And if you can't see how it provides value, then maybe you shouldn't invest in it in the first place. Okay? Hopefully, I've taken something quite complex and chunky and made it into something that's kind of easier to understand. Now, these are just examples. These projects that I've talked about are just examples, okay? Just scratching the surface. There are definitely other games out there who have huge user bases who will attract lots of users and potentially be worth much more than My Lovely Planet in the future. You can go and find other deep in platforms that are providing cloud compute that are going to make much more revenue than Aether. Only you can't, because Aether's definitely doing the biggest revenue. But you know what I mean. People go and bang on about Render and whatever else. Go and look at the data, go and look at the revenue. Now, there is grey areas across this, because Render has a huge market cap. It's been doing much better than, say, Aether, even though Render's making like $8 million a month, which seems like a lot, but it's not really a lot when its market cap's like $3 billion plus, which means it's going to take like 500 years to pay off its market cap. Okay, so not necessarily ideal. So you've got to think about how they're spending the money. Maybe the money is going into marketing, maybe it's going into the tokens, all these other things like that. Obviously, there's layers of complexity to this, and over time, I'm going to continue to teach you this and help you to identify stronger projects over perhaps weaker ones. Now, that's obviously a lot of information and maybe a bit complex for many people to understand. Therefore, go and watch the video again. Let me know down below what you don't really understand and what you want to know more about. So the aim of my video was to make sure that by now, you don't have to ask me, what do you think about this coin or that coin? Because you can go and answer it for yourself. When it comes to meme coins and stuff like that, I really don't know. Okay, that's why I don't tend to get so involved in that side of things. But that's an important point as well. So obviously meme coins represent the kind of hype and excitement in markets, okay, which is a harder metric to read than kind of the utility process. But if you believe in crypto, we will see more and more utility coming out and becoming more and more important as the market goes on, because people will get more educated and they will start to invest more specifically into top quality projects rather than vaporware. Now, if you want to go and pick up any of the coins that I've talked about today, or any other for that matter, obviously do your own research first, because this is not financial advice. Hopefully I've just kind of shared with you a bit of information on how to do your research. Then check out either Bitunix, link down below, or WEEX, also linked down below, which both have huge bonuses. And also between them both, you will find all of the coins I've talked about. There's no KYC required, so you should be able to access those exchanges from wherever you are in the world. If you're struggling to access it from whatever country you're in, there's also a link down below for NordVPN, and I have a special offer for you there, which allows you to access it from wherever you are. Also, it gives you an extra layer of protection from hackers, etc., because it's going to protect your IP. Now, if you want to know more about when to enter into these coins, how to find the best entries, then make sure you subscribe to the School of Crypto, because tomorrow I'll take for a video. We're going to look at some entries on some of these different coins. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and found it useful. Okay, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time in another video. Bye-bye.